everyone, I'm Brett. Welcome back to my plant-based kitchen. This is the third and final installment on my series of cooking with rice and lentils. These are easy staple foods for a time like these when you want a lot of nourishment from basic ingredients with little effort. We've made khichdi, we've made dosa, and today we're turning these red lentils into a protein-rich sauce called dal. Our guest vegetable today is cabbage. When we combine a grain of protein in a sauce, voila, we have a bowl. Let's get to it. Let's start with the green, cabbage. I love cabbage. Something awesome about cabbage is that you can cut it up and have it ready to go ahead of time. Makes cooking go a lot faster. Once we're cooking, we'll come back here and I'll show you how I like to go from this to that. And we'll talk a little bit about knife technique along the way. Grain we're using today is white basmati rice. Cooks up really fast, about 15 minutes in the rice cooker. And it's about the same amount of time if you want to cook it up on the stovetop. For our protein today, going to be using red lentils cooked down into a dal in the Instant Pot. Now, even though white rice and cabbage have protein in them, in a plant-based diet, typically the protein source comes from either a lentil, a bean, or a nut. Any of those can be cooked with a liquid and then blended, and then you're left with a protein-rich sauce. So that's exactly what's going to happen today when we transform the red lentils into a dal. There are a lot of dal recipes out there, oftentimes cooked with onion, garlic, ginger. I actually found that I like a very simple dal as my favorite. We're going to be using salt, a spice blend, same one we used in the khichdi video. So this is a blend of coriander, cumin, ginger, turmeric, equal parts blended together. Then after that cooks, we'll then flavor it with coconut oil and black mustard seeds. There's not much entertaining going on during this pandemic, so I will be cooking for me tonight. So I'll be making just enough for one meal with maybe a little bit left over. You can easily double or triple this recipe with no problem. So I'll be doing 2 cups of cabbage, half cup of rice, half cup of red lentils cooked up with 2 cups of water, and then we'll use a half teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon spice blend. Then once all that is said and done, we'll use 1 teaspoon oil and a half teaspoon of mustard seeds. One factor in putting together a bowl is having ingredients that cook up in about the same amount of time. So both the cabbage, the rice, and the lentils all take about 15 minutes or so. If you're using something different, that's no problem. Just factor in that you might want to start something ahead of time if you're going to, let's say, oven roast something, or if you're going to be cooking up a bean that might take longer in the pressure cooker. So here's what we are going to do. We're going to rinse off the rice and the lentils, put them in their respective cookers. Once those are going, we'll get the cabbage underway. Once the cabbage is going, we'll come back here and do a little bit of talk about cutting up the cabbage. All right, first step, rinse off the grains. Do you have to do this? No. Is it nice? Yes. Let's go. Heat the skillet, yeah, skillet getting hot. Okay, our skillet is hot, not touching, but I can feel that it's hot. That's good enough. So the game plan is going to be to cook up 2 cups of cabbage, with a teaspoon of sesame oil, some salt and pepper, stir that around, and then just let it cook for a while. When you're pan frying, you don't need to keep stirring vegetables. In fact, just letting them sit in contact with the pan is the best way to cook them. here's something that I've learned to pay attention to with cabbage over the years. Peel off the outermost leaf carefully. So if you can keep that whole, it actually has a couple of uses. If at some point you want to learn to make sauerkraut, which I highly recommend, this is what's called the primary follower. This is what you put down on top of the sauerkraut to keep all of the brine down. But also, if you just want to cut some of the cabbage, you can then just put this right over that open part, and it's kind of a lazy way to put this away into the fridge. So there's one thing. We're going to hold that aside for right now. When I cut up a cabbage, I look at the bottom, and I like to cut it into 4 parts. So one side, close to the core, and then the other parts leaving the core. The top part is useful, but the remainder I pretty much just compost. We'll set that aside. I'd love to say just a word on holding knives. It made a big difference to me when I learned how to hold a knife. Like a lot of people, I always held a knife with my pointer finger on top. But once I learned about holding a blade so that the index finger and the thumb pinch the blade and do the holding there, and then the middle finger, ring finger, and pinky just curl along the side, that made a big difference in letting me feel the blade be an extension of my wrist. And then the knuckles of the other hand actually guide the blade. That does a couple things. By pulling away the fingertips, you prevent yourself from accidentally cutting off your fingertips, always nice, but you're able to get a uniform cut as you go down the veggie. Let's pull the camera in a little bit closer to have a look at that. Alright, so here's a chunk of cabbage all set to go. Holding the knife so that my index finger is along the side of the blade, thumb right there. And I'm going to use these knuckles against the back of the blade. Keeping the thumb back. And by walking back my index finger and middle finger, I'm able to get about the same size cut each time the blade goes down. My right hand is just going up and down like a sewing machine. Same thing here. If you like, I got really excited with Julia Child when I saw her cut up potatoes. You can chop up and down. Same thing, the knuckles are against the blade, so it's still safe. You're protecting the fingers. And let's just fly through the rest. You get the idea. Two together. La voila, cabbage. Thanks for cooking with me, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this exploration of basic techniques for cooking rice and lentils. And I hope it inspires you to try adding a few more plant-based meals to your repertoire. Take care, bon courage, et bon appétit.